Seventh speaker is Thank you. Our seventh speaker is KW, and we'll be speaking on the topic of grounding in your recovery. So if everyone please give a warm welcome to Kay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kay. I'm an addict. It's a good meeting. I'm glad to be here. I want to start by saying this is a great meeting. This meeting got me through COVID. I am a big fan. Jillian is one of my favorite people, if a lot of people know Jillian. So I just want to start with that. Oh, thank you for asking me to speak as well. I don't speak as much. I don't want to say very busy, but I have been very scatterbrained, as the time flies by, the time flies by. And I have to work on grounding myself in my recovery. Um, I will say that I've started working in the field of recovery, helping people that are actively using, and that comes with a lot of, I want to say, issues while working within the field because there are some beliefs that they have that I might not believe in, and I have to work what I have to, I have to follow my job's rules, but also, I'm not too far removed from the use, you know what I mean? It's only been 6 years, so it's still fresh in my brain. And when I have people coming into the room and they're saying, well, your job says I can use this drug, but not that drug, and we can do this and we can do that. It really plays with my mind, because I'm like, well, maybe I don't have a problem anymore. It's been a while. Maybe I don't have a problem. Look, everyone coming in here, they're saying, oh, I'm using this drug and life seems good. Even though they are coming to where I work for help, they say life seems good. So in my mind, I'm like, maybe my life is good. Maybe I could go back to using. Maybe it doesn't need to be this substance. It could be a different substance. Um, and I really have to try my best to stay grounded, right? For me, staying grounded is really like remembering where I came from. Remember where my feet are, because the biggest gift I've gotten from recovery, I'm gonna say, is perspective, right? I didn't understand um how to see things in the frame of recovery. I saw things in the frame of using, right? So when I was using, it made sense. Grounding for me was using, getting my bearings, and then continuing with my day, right? But I don't have that anymore. I don't have that instant solution that I used to have, right? My solutions nowadays are a lot more long term, right? So, I would say I meditate every day, but that's not true. That's not true at all. I do not meditate every day. But what I do is I take my time at the end of the day and the beginning of the day to kind of just be like, all right, you're here, you have these things on your plate, and you have to take care of them. Um, I'm a responsible member of society I'm a productive member of society and I'm very responsible for the things that I have today. And early in my recovery, I thought that I was only responsible for not using and I could do whatever else I wanted. Um, and that came with a lot of other problems and finding out I have a lot of other addictions that I had to deal with. So with that in mind, I have to move forward with, yes, I do have to, be abstinent, right? But I also need to work on myself so that I'm not picking up these new addictions because sex got in there, gambling got in there. I didn't even know I liked gambling until I started doing it. And the next thing I know, I'm at the casino. I'd never been to the casino. The lights are going, and then, now I have another problem. Um, for me, like, I am really big on fun and recovery, right? I got in here, I was 24. I was like, my life is over. I'm not gonna be able to do anything fun anymore. Life is gonna be boring. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I came in with a decent younger crowd too. So like we were all like, excuse me, we were all like, what are we gonna do? Like, what are we? And what we did was things that I thought I hated. We go to people's houses, we do like little like campfires. We play board games. And those little things helped me stay grounded as well, right? Because I build up these notions, I build up these thoughts that like something's going to be this way or something's going to be that way, right? And I had to learn that things change in recovery, right? Things grow and things evolve. things that I thought I hated, I started to love. I love games. I love them so much that at my job, I made a game group where we play games before we have meetings so that people can be more grounded and more open to speaking, right? Because recovery in my mind, recovery isn't just like we talk about our problems, we talk about addiction and fix it. We talk about other things in that. We talk about changing our thinking, right? We talk about I saw some of the other topics, some of the moral things that we have to change too as well, I was originally I wanted to share on the 13th step, but I had a long night, so I was like, let me make sure I'm ready and prepared. So I pushed it back a little bit. But there are things that we do and there are actions that we still have in these rooms that need to be addressed. Um, my thing, like I said, is fun and community, right? If it wasn't for the people in the room, when I went to my one of my first meetings in NA, it was in Washington, New Jersey. And I went there. That's where I met Jillian and her beautiful husband. And I went there and people were celebrating and I didn't really know what was going on. I just remember sitting down and I'm like, this guy has 5 years now. Like, that's so cool. Like, that I can't understand. I can't fathom like not using for that long of a period of time. And I met them and they didn't say like you got to do the steps, you got to get into the book, you got to get into. They said, hey, how are you doing? We're gonna be at this meeting, you should come out. you know we're gonna go out and get food afterwards, you should come out. And then, I went to the next meeting and it didn't always, I was still using at the time, but they made me feel welcome. Like, they clearly knew I was using. I was nodding out in the meeting, but they made me feel welcome. And then I started going to different meetings. And then I got I went to a meeting and I got a commitment. And I was a greeter. I was a greeter for almost a year. And I'm shaking hands and hugging people, and then we stopped hugging people eventually because something happened in the world. But I was hugging people for a long time and like that was my thing and I got to know people. And when I tell people like making those connections with people, being able to go to a different meeting and they're like, "Oh, that's Kay from the other meeting. I remember him. He gave me a hug. He showed me because it was downstairs and I was gonna go upstairs, so he showed me it was downstairs." And like making those connections made me really feel like being a part of something because for me, right, the connections were all I ever wanted. My disease was isolating. It was find the substances, use the substances, and that was it. So now that I'm not no longer isolated and I'm getting connected with other people, I'm like, oh wow, like this is what I was missing, you know? And choosing those people correctly was important. I don't like, stick with the winners because it makes it sound like there's losers, right? Everyone's here for the same reasons, but everyone's here for the same problem, not for the same reasons, you know? So what I tried to do was I picked the people that had things that I wanted, right? There are some people that had time that I wanted. There were some people that just spoke in a way that made them, it felt like they didn't have what I had, right? That guilt, that shame that I was holding with me, right? Because every time I went to a meeting and they would share about these really personal, real things, I was like, I could never do that, right? We could share about, oh, I'm having a bad day, I'm having a good day, but I can't share about trauma. I can't share about, shame and guilt. Um, and like having those people around. Um, when I went into the rooms, I also learned that there are certain people you ask certain things about, right? I learned not to share everything on the floor, right? Because I was so scared of being vulnerable that I didn't share certain things. And I still follow that rule too. I share things with people that have valid information and lived experience. If I'm asking, if I don't go to my mechanic and ask him about, medicine, right? I'm like, oh, my blood pressure's high. What do I do? I go to someone that actually has lived experience that can help me in the situation that I'm in. And I keep those people around me, throughout time. And I still reach back out to them, right? I ask people that I know have gone through something. I've seen them get to the other side too, because they have an actual solution, right? I spent my whole addiction was the blind leading the blind. We didn't know what we were doing and we were trying our best and it wasn't helping anyone, right? I need someone with a solution that has actual knowledge to help me move forward. When I got into the rooms, I learned that I associated with people that were going to tell me what I wanted to hear so I can continue doing the negative things in my life. It was yes, this, yes, that, yes, 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 yes. You could keep doing this. I found people that ground me in reality and say, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. I say something stupid, they say, that's stupid. That was a dumb thing you just said, and you shouldn't do it. Right. And I'm like, wow, someone's challenging me. Right. Take my, I was so, what they say, I'm an egomaniac with low self-esteem. You know what I mean? Like I had someone challenge me for the first time and I'm like, wow, I'm not always right, you know? And I was able to learn from those people and be like, wow, I need to keep people, they said, someone said a multitude of counsel, right? I have to have people with different backgrounds and different experiences to give me a better perspective on what I'm doing. Because if I'm around the same people that believe the same things as me, I'm never going to grow as a person. I'm only listening to the things that I already know and already think I know. So yeah, I learned that this program is multifaceted. There's people from all types of walks of life that come through here and they get it and they can move forward in their recovery. And it it helps me ground myself in reality because in my mind, in my disease-ridden mind, I believe that I'm some type of God and that I can choose everything and I know everything, right? And when I have these people come break down that illusion of grandeur and they bring me back to self, then I'm just like, wow, like I'm just another person trying to get this thing. Um, I know that I've learned that like I'm just another person. I always used to think someone called me, they thought terminally unique, you know. I'm going to continue doing these things in the way that I want them because I'm so different and I'm different than you and you don't look like me and your story's not like mine. And it moved me into this. I believe this so much that I was just like, this program can't work for me. Um, and I got grounded. People, like I said, people will come into my life and be honest and like I'm not a coddler in the rooms, right? I'm gonna be there and listen and be open, and and whatever the problem is, I'm gonna hear it. But I needed someone to be honest with me, right? So I'm gonna be honest with other people. They're like, man, I keep using. I don't know why I keep going out. I keep using. Like I don't. I go to meetings, and I'm like, well, I don't see you after the meeting. You going to the meetings, that's just one part of it. Where's the other people? Where's the step work? Like there are other parts of this that you're not getting, right? Like you're not like I'm not gonna say these are instructions, but this is the formula that works. And you're trying to bake a cake without flour. You know what I mean? You're taking out parts of the recipe and you're trying to get something accomplished. Um, and I do that because I wish early on when I was like 18, 19 trying this and I was going to meetings and they're like, "Oh, he's young. He'll get it. He'll get it." It would have saved me years of pain, because someone should have just been honest with me and said, "You have a problem. This is eventually going to kill you and you're not going to have fun while this is going on." And I wish someone would have been honest and open with me. But that's the thing, like um having people that are going to ground me in reality and be there for me and allow me to make my mistakes, but also be there to hold my hand when I do make mistakes. Because like, it's been a few years, but I still make a lot of mistakes. I still like to run into the wall and be like, like I didn't know the wall was there, Like I always end up in these situations where, and as time progresses, right, you get a little, a couple years, and I'm like, I'm not that early in recovery. I can make decisions for myself. Like I know what I'm doing, and some things I know how to do by myself, but other things I just make bad decisions. And I have to have people there that'll be like, like that. I don't know about that. Um, one of the things that I've been not struggling with, but like coming to understand is like, I go to a lot of meetings and there's a lot of people with, 10 plus years or five and under, right? So like that gap from like 5 to 10, I see a lot less people celebrating. Um, and I'm like, I think about it because I'm like, well, I'm there, what's happening? And my sponsor was telling me, he said, a lot of people, their life gets good enough and then they make other decisions. 5, 6 years, things change. You might have moved, you might have got a new job here, you might have, you know, been, you might have started like I started at homelessness, and then now I'll be graduating college in 2 weeks. So like things have changed significantly, but I want to remember that like this is where I was at, and I've only been able to do these things because I started at this place. You know, I really have to, especially during this time, stay vigilant because there's been times where I'm like, man, I just got out of work. I'm talking to people about recovery all day. I don't need to go to a meeting. I'm hosting meetings at work. It might not be an NARA meeting or whatever type of meeting it is, but I'm hosting a meeting. I feel like I got my recovery for the day. I want to go home, you know, and I have to. And people are like, listen, I went to a meeting, I was sharing about it. They were like, that is not your recovery. That is your job. And those are two separate things. So you have to take care of your recovery because I felt like a hypocrite. I'm telling people, go to meetings. This is going to help you do the steps. And then I'm going home afterwards because I'm tired, you know, and I'm telling people these things and I was living different. And I had to really sit down and be like, all right, let me look back at this because this isn't right. You know, I want to be, if I want to be well equipped to deal with this, because I didn't, like I said in the beginning of my share, if I'm hearing people come in and talk about how they're using it and life is not that bad, right? Or they're using it, they don't want to change, and I have to tell them different things. It's really changing the perspective that I have in my mind, right? Because I lived 12 steps up until a certain point, and now I have to introduce harm reduction and the other things that the job says. So now it's really, you know, plays on me. And then I have people, friends, you know, that came in the same time as me, you know, had about the same amount of time, but now they use recreationally, right? And now I'm looking at them like, well, maybe I don't have a problem. Maybe I could be that person, right? But then I have to really ground myself. When I had all those other addictions pop up in my recovery, how was I acting? Why was I at the casino at 3 in the morning when I had work at 9, trying to figure out if I could make this money so I could get back home? You know, like I was living crazy because that's the core of it. I know I'm an addict. I have an addiction problem and I get addicted to all types of stuff and I don't know what to do once I'm in it. I'm in it and I got to have some type of you know, psychic change. You know, I have to really sit down and have some different, you know, mindsets and information thrown at me to change these things. Feel like I've been rambling, but I'm my whole purpose of sharing, and anytime I share, I just want people to know what worked for me. And what worked for me, and I'll go over them, is getting to know the people in rooms, right? If you know the people in the rooms, you're going to be more comfortable. If you talk to them about whatever, oh, the kids are doing great. Oh, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You're going to be more likely to give them a call when something's actually going wrong. Having actual, genuine connections here. I try not to speak about the book work too much because a lot of the meetings that I do go to are, you know, we already going through that. But I think that the most important thing is because I know I wasn't going to look at the book if I didn't like the people. If the people weren't going to be cool and I didn't understand them for where they came from, I wasn't going to get into any literature. I wasn't going to do any step work. That stuff is very important. And I tell people, hey, you're gonna get a sponsor, you're gonna learn about that. Kind of like make it a surprise, you know, and they'll figure it out when they get there. Those people that I met in the beginning that helps me get through this process and help and were honest with me and invited me into their homes and we went out to dinner and then they, you know, thank you. The first one was always free. They always got me a meal at the diner or something. And then, you know, I had to pay for myself. But having those connections early on was important. And also perspective, right? Um, if I do one thing every day to change, to be a little bit better, that's how I see it, right? I see it every day. If I just do one thing, change one little action to be a little bit better, right? My growth will be exponential, right? So if I know I'm struggling in this place, let me do this one thing different, and it keeps me grounded, right? I know I made a mistake this day. I overslept this day. Let me set an alarm for a little earlier, right? Whatever it may be, right? Because we as you grow in this program, you get this plate full of stuff and you have to take care of it. You have responsibilities now, right? You're becoming responsible, so you have responsibilities. They give you key tags because you get keys. And I have all these different type of keys that I have to be responsible for or I'll lose them. So I'm in my mind, I'm like, all right, like I need to take care of this. I need to take care of this. And all that stuff comes from me taking care of me, right? I can't take care of all myself if I'm not taking care of me. I can't go to work if I'm not taking care of me. I'm not taking care of my health, I can't take care of me. You know, there are all these things that that pile up, right? Because recovery for me isn't just about going to meetings, doing the steps, right? It's about making me a better person and giving my life meaning and purpose, right? I was able to find out the things that I wanted to do in life. I wanted to learn more about myself, and that's what I've been doing. I'm learning so much about myself, and some things are not good, but I get to work on them, and I get to go through this process of building myself up. I believe that every person in the world would benefit from a program like this where they can grow and learn about themselves and be honest and open. And we would have so much less problems if people were able to just sit down and be real. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is. But now we're the messengers, right? We can go through life and they'd be like, wow, he didn't get mad when that person cut him off in traffic. I work a program. What can I say? And that's what I want to be. I want to be an example to people. I want them to see it before they have it, and then be like, "What's that? What did he have that I don't?" You know. And with that, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kay.